Listen to Kovai Vani. Enjoy the podcast by our enthusiastic young residents. Kovai Care is the best place to retire.
Freedom comes from within. This podcast comes to you from V. Krishnan on behalf of the Kovai Vani podcast team, Coimbatore. Lock up your libraries if you like, but there is no gate, no lock, no bolt that you can set upon the freedom of my mind. Virginia Woolf. As we Indians celebrate our 75th Independence Day, newspapers, TV channels, thinkers and philosophers, teachers and taught, politicians and we the people will salute the nation, the armed forces and the freedom fighters for freeing our country from the exploitation of British rule and the newfound feeling of fresh air in the world's largest democracy. I am a common man, and like millions of Indians, I feel a sense of pride in my India. I am part of my country, and my country is an integral part of me. Many of our freedom fighters are no more. Of course, there are a number of us who still remember the freedom struggle that they were part of and the religious and caste animosities that the British and many of us created, practiced, and encouraged. But this podcast will not take you through the economic, sociological, demographic, or political journey of the country in the last 7 decades. There are enough and more pundits who will do that. I'll just take you through some random thoughts that keep impinging on my otherwise infertile brain. Born in 1944, towards the end of World War II and the momentous years before our independence, the baby in me was looking for its own freedom from the small stainless steel cup that was used to pour milk down my throat. It was called paladai in Tamil, and feeding bottles had not made the young mom scene at that time. Freedom and independence were too far from my infant thoughts. I digress here with great joy and pride, and I inform you that my sister was born on 15th August 1947. Our family is blessed to have 2 celebrations on this day. According to the Oxford Dictionary, freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants. It is also the state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. Independence is the fact or state of being independent, and being independent is being free from outside control. I am not going to get into the debate on independence versus freedom, but would like to give you a quick glance of my 78 years of what I think is my freedom. And the hard realization that freedom comes with responsibility and duty. Nothing comes free in life. Freedom meant going to school for the first time, but wearing a uniform, carrying books and a tiffin box were kind of adding to the weight of freedom. But college was a different cup of tea, or smoke, should I say. In spite of that, freedom of thought was a great boon. Franz Kafka, Albert Camus, and J.D. Salinger drove the brain into new freeways, and adulthood suddenly found new freedom for the body and mind. I express my thoughts to be open to an extreme. I realize that the nature of education is the paradox of freedom. Mixed thoughts, mixed feelings, girls, flirting, and the responsibility of good behavior, all leading to an exciting muddle. Graduating from college was a piece of cake, with the university deciding that it would not serve the college's noble intentions by retaining me on their rolls. Freedom from studies came in the nature of a job that meant some financial freedom, freedom of timing, freedom from home, and a newfound energy in life. The phrase career freedom comes to mind. It is another matter that the wisdom of that phrase comes to you at almost the last phase of your career. A lot of questions needed answers. Is it freedom of choice, of workplace, Is it a question of timings? Was it money? Are you a loner or do you want to work in teams? Do you like challenging projects? I didn't get clear answers till pretty late in my career. Several job changes, many fantastic organizations that gave me freedom to do what I could, to what I thought made a difference to the culture and growth of the companies I worked for. But I would call it elusive freedom still. After the COVID pandemic, a lot of that has changed. Work from home, Zoom meetings, flexible hours, maternity and paternity leave, and all of that. But now, I have grown old enough to retire and seek a different kind of happiness and freedom. In my 79th year, I have found a new, different, and exhilarating kind of freedom. The mind is free, there is love and affection in the air, and a feeling of being wanted and cared for. This freedom comes with a lot of responsibility that I need to protect, nurture, grow, and preserve. This great happening in my life. I know I'm in a good place. I would like to call it positive freedom, where you're in control of your mind, and even if your body wavers a bit, things are going fine. The India that is within me needs to say some things about the India that I'm part of. Let me outline a few things that augur well and some where we could have done better. Our per capita income today is close to 1.8 lakhs a year. Poverty levels have come down quite dramatically in the last 2 decades. Life expectancy has gone up from 40 years to 70 years. Death per thousand births has come down from 140 in 1960 to 47 in 2020. There's a need to do more. India is one of 8 countries that have had a GDP growth of average 5% for 40 years, and one of the few countries expected to grow at the same rate over the next decade. There are also downsides to India, that is mine. India ranks pretty low in female participation in the workforce at just 21%. We are quite far from gender equality. Whether we like it or not, or like to admit it or not, we are still a casteist nation. Our religious intolerances have come from violence at independence time to a doubtful and suspecting relationship, what I would call more than uneasy. Inequality defined by income disparity is among the highest in the world. Why can't we have more of the rich share more of their wealth and lift Kara De India? Well, today is for all Indians, rich and poor, male, female, and transgenders, metro, non-metro, urban, and rural folk, adults, and children. Happy birthday, India, and the 15th August 1947 children. Let us all take a pledge on this day that we will make our country safe, green, clean, tolerant, and a role model for other countries in the world. Jai Hind. Humble namaskars to all our freedom fighters. This is Krishnan from the Kovai Vani podcast team bidding you goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you and stay tuned.